My name is Kenley Battanato, and I am applying for the 2026 Governor's Honors Program in the Visual Arts Department. The reason I decided to apply for the program is because I want to experience and learn more about art in order to improve my own art. And the main takeaway I want to get from this program is to feel more artistically involved and connected in the community. And most importantly, satisfied in what I've learned and the people I've met.
My first piece, Opulence, is a 1360 by 768 pixel computer imagery piece on my Picasso Sim Mons that I completed in the fall of 2025. What I did first was I made a very rough and basic line art of my character. When making him, I tried to think about his character and personality when sketching, and then using basic design theory to show it. Then, I did the base color of the character first, and then the background next. Next, I started to shade via multiply and then add even darker values later on to give it a more hazy nighttime feel. Then I do the little trinkets and gold and accessories, and after all of that, including some brush ups, I finished. This specific piece is special to me because this was my first completed digital painting. Even though his character was factitious, it indirectly represented me as a person and as an artist and how it changed over time. And when making this painting, I've learned and implemented various techniques such as, but not limited to, color theory, subsurface scattering, reflection, composition, advanced shading, anatomy, design theory, etc. My next piece is a 14 by 18 canvas watercolor painting study that I have studied in the coming new year of 2026. I titled it Famous Media Reference Study, Antarctic Scene 3.0 plus 1.0. This piece was referenced from a famous IP called Neon Genesis Evangelion in one of its final movies. And when I first saw this scene, I wanted to replicate its beauty in my own way. And so when starting, I noticed that contrast and duality was the main point. And so I started by taping the borders down so I can not only replicate it but also reduce likelihood of mess. And then from there, I used a variety of watercolor techniques such as wet to wet in order to blend the colors together, wet to dry in order to get the colors on top of each other consistently, gradient forming via wet to wet, and paint dabbing in order to lighten up the values. I wanted to show its unholy yet sublime beauty, however, put my own twist in it, and yet still somehow replicate the captivation that it placed on me. And as a result, some of the concepts I had to implement was proper paint stroke techniques, blending, light reflection, and how it doesn't just reflect on the water, but also on the majority and how it manipulates the color, and layering in order for it to get deeper shadows. And finally, I made a drawing on a 7 by 10 paper at the fall of 2025, and I named it Deadlight's Emerging Vessel. And what gave me inspiration to make this piece was Pennywise. The character canonically was an eldritch horror beyond human comprehension that fed off the fear of children, and so I wanted to replicate its horror within its piece. And I based it off, the main value I based it off was the deadlights. And the thing that I believed was going to make or break it was the values. I knew it was also essential to abstract a bunch of info in order to maximize its creepiness, because it's hard to make it creepy if you know exactly what it looked like. And so I utilized negative space to counteract it. Since there was a lot of negative space, it left a lot to the interpretation of the person. And since it was so mysterious, that's kind of replicated how Pennywise felt, because you don't really know where he came from or what he is. But we know there's something that's beyond human comprehension, and that scares people. Something you don't understand scares people. And so how I replicated is I shaded in light values at first in order to shape up the basic face. Right after I made the concept drawing, the basic concept drawing. And then from there, I shaded darker in the more important areas like underneath the chin, the eyes and like the nose and the mouth. But I refused to complete the line art. And so as a result, I got a mysterious and creepy person veiled by the white of their paper with a blinding light within its maws, similar to Pennywise. Thank you so much for allowing me to have this opportunity at any point in my lifetime. To the people reviewing this, have a good day or night wherever you are, and bye.